The new design for the Australian $5 bill will not include a photo of King Charles III, with the Reserve Bank of Australia instead saying that the new design will be an ode to the culture and history of Indigenous Australians. The debate over the future of the monarchy in Australia has been reignited since the death of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, and this move has been welcomed by many campaign groups, while upsetting, of course, many royalists. Well, joining me to discuss this is the former leader of the Liberal Party of Australia, Alexander Downer. Good evening, Alexander. Thanks for joining me this evening. So can I ask you, the first question, please, is why have the Australians taken what is obviously a big decision?
Well, I wouldn't describe it as a big decision, but it's a decision which, as you said in your introduction, is a little bit controversial. But the King's head will be on all of the coins of Australia, so he won't be eliminated altogether. And this is a decision that has been made by the relatively new Labor government, and the Labor Party in Australia has for many years been strongly Republican. So they think it's a way of making a statement that they would like to edge Australia towards a republic. That'll be what is behind it. But I don't think it's going to have a big impact on the public generally.
I was going to say, how has the decision been received, or are we slightly blowing it out of all proportions over here?
Well, it is controversial. Well, clearly, people who want to retain the current system, retain the monarchy, are unhappy about it in principle. But it's not really seen as a major issue in Australia. I mean, to change the country to a republic would be a huge undertaking. It would require not just an act of parliament, but a referendum of the whole of the public. And you have to win a majority of the public in a majority of states. And if opinion polls are any guide, there's no interest in a republic in Australia at the moment. The latest opinion poll, which was only published last week, showed 39% of people favoured a republic. So if the government decided to proceed with a referendum, it would almost certainly be defeated. And I don't think a referendum of that kind is likely within the next few years, frankly, in Australia. Okay. I mean, on the whole, people are happy with the constitutional arrangements in Australia. You know, the mainstream of the public, not some of the activist elites, but the mainstream of the public are pretty happy with the way the Constitution works.
Has there been a different view of the monarchies since the Queen's death, do you feel? Or is everyone very happy with how King Charles III started?
I think they are happy with the way King Charles has started. You know, he's not as popular as the Queen was, but he's quite popular. He went to school for a year or so in Australia at Geelong Grammar School. He's often been to Australia. He has many friends in Australia, knows many Australians. And so I don't think people have much changed their mind. I mean, talking of that opinion poll, the last time a poll was done, which was before the death of the Queen, the Republic had 36% support, and now it, according to the same poll, has 39%. So a move of 3% isn't really terribly significant. I might have expected it to be stronger than that, but I think people have accepted Charles pretty well as the king in Australia.
Do you think this decision, it's probably too early to have any impact on Australia's future in the Commonwealth?
No, none at all. No, Australia, whatever happens, Australia will remain committed to the Commonwealth. You got to remember that well over 60% of the Australian population have their ethnic origins, have their ancestry in the British Isles, and so there's huge affection for Britain in Australia. I think of all the countries in the world, only New Zealand would be as popular amongst Australians as the UK. So, I mean, people don't, there isn't a mood in Australia that as a country we want to cut our links with the UK or reduce the nature of the relationship, or that there's hostility towards the UK. I mean, obviously, Australia has 26 million people. Of the 26 million people, there are some sort of hardcore activists and woke people and so on who want to change everything, not just get rid of the monarchy, but destroy the capitalist system. There are always a few people like that. But when you take the great mainstream of Australia, the great mainstream, and by the way, this includes young people, are pretty happy with the constitutional arrangement.
Alexander Downer, former leader of the Liberal Party of Australia, thank you so much for joining us this evening.